Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited. Isis, All That Glitters. The goddess next door takes on a bikini-clad bank robber in this action-packed all-new Isis series adventure. Get Isis, All That Glitters in paperback and Kindle Unlimited today. Recently, your Michael Draca, the beta white male who murdered Markeis McGlockton in the parking lot of a Florida grocery store, was convicted for manslaughter in the case of the murder of Markeis McGlockton. And I find it interesting that most media outlets didn't cover this trial, nor did they cover the outcome of this trial. And the reason I believe they didn't cover the outcome of this trial is because that outcome was one where the white male didn't get to be acquitted. And he didn't get to be acquitted because the evidence was so overwhelming in the case of the murder of Markeis McGlockton that you couldn't refute any of the hard evidence presented, because we had video footage of your Michael Draca taking out that weapon in that parking lot to murder your Markeis McGlockton, and it was clearly stated that this was not him standing his ground, because that property was owned by an Indian store owner. And it couldn't be claimed that it was mental illness in this case, because your Michael Draca clearly was not mentally ill as related to the incident that transpired inside of that Florida parking lot outside of that store. This Michael Draca had been at that parking lot for a long period of time, and had been arrested on numerous occasions for trespassing and harassing the customers in that lot, because this beta male believed that it was his right to police that parking lot, even though he was not a hired or licensed security guard or hired by that store to police that property. This was your Michael Draca looking to establish himself as an authority, similar to the way George Zimmerman established himself as an authority who would be the neighborhood watch. He imposed himself as the law in that parking lot, and he thought that because he was the law over that parking lot, property he did not own, he had a right to dictate who came to the parking lot and what they could do in the parking lot. And as a result, he got in a confrontation with Markeis McGlockton, and this led to the death of Markeis McGlockton in what I believe was a murder. However, the jury believed it was manslaughter. But your Michael Draca has been sentenced to 20 years in prison, and I believe that is a just sentence, because Markeis McGlockton's children are not going to have their father. They're not going to see their children are not going to see their father as they grow up. They're not going to be taught life lessons by their father, and this is a punishment that fits the crime. Unfortunately, the mainstream media did not give the conviction and sentencing of Michael Draca the same amount of coverage that your Amber Geiger received after her conviction. And the reason why they didn't want to give that case any coverage the same way they got Amber Geiger, because the family of Markeis McGlockton, they were not going and talking about forgiveness and giving the defendant, Michael Draca, a hug the same way the Botham Jean's brother and father were, nor were they talking about being friends with the man who murdered their father. You didn't see the children of Markeis McGlockton and the family of Markeis McGlockton talking about forgiveness, and they were talking about seeing this man get the maximum. They said they did not forgive him, and there was nothing to forgive, because your Michael Draca, just like your Amber Geiger, was not repentant, because those who follow the Most High Living God understand that forgiveness comes with repentance. If a person is repentant and wants to ask for forgiveness, this is how you receive forgiveness, and that forgiveness is so that both of you can move on. But this man, like Amber Geiger, was not repentant, and that family had every right to demand that this man be punished to the maximum that the law allows, because this man, with his dysfunctional beta male behavior and looking to control spaces, decided that it was his right to take another man's life because he was parked in a parking space he thought he should not be parked in, and he escalated affairs with this man and led to Markeis McGlockton losing his life. So this is a just punishment meted out on this man, and the McGlockton family presented an example of how you are to conduct yourself as related to a person who has taken the life of your family member. You are to hold that person fully accountable for their actions and make them take responsibility for their actions, and not turn a court session into a church the same way that the Jean family went out here and presented that minstrel show where they turned this courtrooms and its court proceedings into a church, absolving this white woman of any sort of accountability for the crime that she committed and was convicted for. What we saw in the McGlockton case was not played on mainstream media because most people in the mainstream media did not want to see black people holding white people accountable and holding white people to a standard where they would be punished for the crimes that they committed against black people. Because if you were to hold people to that standard, what you're doing is saying that a black life matters. And I thank God that the McGlockton family said that Markeis McGlockton's life mattered so much to them that they were willing to hold the people, Michael Draca, accountable for the murder of their loved father and a beloved husband. If you'd like to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, and my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. And if you want to try some of my SJS Direct publications, which feature positive black stories about the black experience, you may do so by clicking the link to Amazon.com. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.